Why did you let him kill me? It was the clown. Make the clown go away.
Nevada is best known for its gambling and legalized prostitution, but the Silver State also has more than its share of legends and hauntings. With colorful, blood-stained histories and roots in the Wild West, Nevada has many eerie ghost stories and legends. Today, we will look at 10 of these. Tonopah, Nevada was once a booming mine town, but it has since been reduced to only 1,200 residents, not all living. Did you know Tonopah owes its existence to a donkey? A wayward donkey wandered off one night, leading Jim Butler, a prospector, to look for it. The donkey had found shelter under a rock outcropping, and when Butler found it, he picked up the rock, noticing it was extremely heavy for its size. It turned out the rock was silver, which led to the second richest silver strike in Nevada's history. The Tonopah Cemetery was founded in May of 1901, with the first burial being John Randall Weeks. It remained an active cemetery for the town until April 1911, when the number of dead outgrew the plot. The Tonopah Cemetery holds about 300 bodies, including the town's original residents. Many of them have fallen victim to a mysterious plague known as the Tonopah Plague. In 1905, the newspaper article wrote, "It is not the Black Plague. It is simply an acute pneumonia of a very severe type." The sickness is believed to be due to the lack of sanitary conditions. The disease, strangely enough, only attacks grown men. Another tragedy to hit the mining town was the Tonopah Belmont mine fire on February 23, 1911, that killed 17 miners. The fire was noticed about 5:50 a.m. After an hour of searching, some burning timber at the bottom of one of the shafts was found. The superintendent told everyone to go back to work since it was in a separate area. The miners protested, but when they were threatened to be fired, they went back to work. After a while, the superintendent noticed the fire was spreading and told the men to withdraw everyone from the mine except those who were fighting the fire. The untrained men scattered, not obeying orders, resulting in many being trapped in the mine. A reversal of air currents through the mine spread the fire faster than they could escape. 14 of the miners that died that day are buried in Tonopah Cemetery. Right next door to the creepy old cemetery sits America's scariest motel. The Clown Motel is full of glassy-eyed circus dolls, and the owner claims his motel is fun and safe place to sleep. Unfortunately for some, this is the only place to sleep on the unbroken stretches of Nevada desert. As soon as you enter the motel, you are greeted with hundreds of clowns in all sizes. Some of them are life-size and some are miniatures. When you walk past the office, you can see the Tonopah Cemetery arch hanging over the entrance. Just beyond that is the centuries-old miners' graveyard. People who have visited the Clown Motel swear it is haunted. According to legends, the clown dolls give the miners who died a vessel to travel to the earthly plane, like a possession. Apparitions have been reported coming from the graveyard, and various EVPs captured seem to be of the miners saying, "We mined, we died that day," and 17 men. The current owner of the Clown Motel even tells of hearing footsteps and knocking in unoccupied rooms. Further back in the history of the land, the Pueblo natives used to dress up in clown-like attire. in a sense, releasing their personalities, welcoming possessions by the spirits. Perhaps the clowns, with their ever-changing identities, have allowed for portals into the spirit world. Many people have reported the apparition of a man leaving the cemetery and walking around the area at all hours of the day. When a previous owner tried to make contact with the spirit, it froze and then quickly disappeared. Others have reported seeing various clowns in the cemetery, balloons and all. At the Clown Motel, visitors in room 108, which has a life-size mural of Pennywise the Clown on the wall, report strange encounters, disembodied voices, their belongings moving around the room, and things going missing. The trickster spirit is said to come from the cemetery, taking the form of a clown to joke around with the visitors. Other visitors have reported a 7-foot-tall clown standing at the foot of their bed, unexplainable knocking on the doors when no one is there, disembodied voices throughout the night, and scratches that appear on the wall. If the creepy old cemetery and the Clown Motel is not enough for you, then there's always the Mizpah Hotel, which is home to the elusive Lady in Red. According to legends, she was strangled to death in the hotel by her jealous ex-lover between rooms 502 and 504. She has been reported to haunt the 5th floor and the elevator. Other reports say that the spirits of children haunt the 3rd floor and murdered minors haunt the basement. It seems that Tonopah is steeped in paranormal history. The small, unassuming Nevada desert town is home to tragedy, obscured history, and death. Between January 1985 and June 1992, Charles M. Keller was principal at the Silver Rim Elementary School in Tonopah, Nevada. During his time at the school, he learned of strange things that occur in the building, such as lights going on and off for no reason. This seems strange because the school was just constructed in 1980. The teachers working late or at night began reporting that they felt like someone was watching them, hearing strange rapping sounds, and one teacher reported seeing the apparition of a man. For Halloween in 1985, Mr. Keller wrote a ghost story called Jake the Ghost for the children, teachers, and staff. The story then brought more reports of strange happenings from the school's staff. One teacher reported that one evening, while working late, she heard scuffling footsteps coming down the hall by her classroom. When she looked, she didn't see anything, but she continued to hear the steps coming toward her. She was so scared that she climbed out the window and ran to a neighbor's house across the street and called her husband for help. In 2006, Mr. Keller finally learned the identity of the school's ghost. With being a writer of children's stories, he wanted to know more about what could possibly be happening at the school, and he researched the history of the land. He found that in September of 1903, there was a Chinese race riot. A local labor union had decided to run all the Chinese people out of town. During the riot, a Chinese man named Ping Ling was badly beaten and hit over the right eye with a hatchet. He decided to walk out of town and leave the area, but bled to death on the road. The road is the same one that runs between the Silver Rim School and the Mormon LDS Church. Since the school wasn't built until 1980, the question is, where was Ping Ling until then? Mr. Keller believes the spirit doesn't mean any harm to people in the building. He is also not seen or heard during the day when things are happening at the school, but at night he is reported to be very active and curious. In southern Nevada, along a desert highway, lies an illegal graveyard with a murky past. The Boulder City Cemetery, also known as El Dorado Valley Pet Cemetery, or the Marwood Doud Cemetery, is the final resting place of hundreds of beloved pets and is rumored to also hold the remains of a few unfortunate humans. There isn't much factual history of Boulder City Cemetery, but there are claims that the first burials were in 1931. With no records kept and a lot of the older graves destroyed by the elements, it is hard to tell. Other reports claimed it was established in 1953 by Marwood Doud, a local veterinarian. Another rumor says that Emery Lockett created the cemetery in 1953 and provided pet funeral services for $50. Regardless, at the time of inception, the cemetery occupied federal land, where burial of pets was illegal, which explains why there was never an official name. In 1976, the state of Nevada requested the land be cleared, but a group of local citizens successfully fought against the removal of the pet graves, but they were unable to have the land officially recognized as a pet burial ground. In 1995, Boulder City bought the El Dorado Valley and established the area as a desert tortoise habitat, which meant pet burials remained illegal. But it still seems to occur, with some of the newer grave markers dating 2015. With the Boulder Cemetery only about 24 miles outside of Las Vegas, there are rumors that the cemetery was also used as a burial ground for the mafia victims. With no official records of the cemetery's occupants, and human graves can easily be passed off as large dog graves, it would have been easy for crime members to do the deed and then check up on the burial sites without suspicion. The Boulder Cemetery is located in a flash flood zone, and many animal remains, and perhaps human remains, have been washed away through the years. According to legends, the cemetery is haunted by several pets, the most famous being a white cat that follows people around that it likes. There are also rumors that somewhere, circling the dark desert, is a ghoulish, murderous mongrel mobster dog, ravenous for revenge against its owner who foolishly buried it on unstable ground. The Bonnie Springs Ranch was built in 1843 as a stopover for wagon trains headed for California. In 1958, Bonnie McGraw and Al Levinston restored the ranch and opened it as a tourist attraction, adding stables, a restaurant, and a petting zoo. To make the attraction more authentic, an old town mining community was built on the ranch property. Many of those buildings used were the originals they restored from the surrounding communities. Later, a functioning saloon, shops, wax museum, wedding chapel, and schoolhouse were added. With so many original structures and objects from the past coming together, it should come as no surprise that the paranormal activity has skyrocketed. The most common reported spirit is of a little girl playing in and around the replica schoolhouse, then suddenly disappearing. The nearby merry-go-round is also reported to turn on its own with no wind or other explanations. The Wax Museum, a maze that leads guests through a creepy history display, comes to life for some. Many people have claimed to see the wax figures move by themselves and appear like they're breathing. The park staff have even had to nail down the displays because they kept moving out of position. In the Opera House, there are reports of a darker, more menacing presence that takes the shape of a shadow figure and follows people through the area. The dark figure has been captured in photos, as well as the capture of some disturbing EVPs in the area. La Palazza Mansion in Las Vegas, Nevada was built in 1959 and had undergone several renovations through the years, with the last known one being in 2017. The mansion is a Spanish-style house, which is common in homes in the southwest United States. According to legends, a mob boss bought the mansion many years ago and carried out many attacks and murders inside the home. Enemies, gang members, and many others are said to have met their end at La Palazza Mansion. During the golden years of Las Vegas's boom, the behind-the-scenes events of the Sin City's organized crime network were said to have happened here at La Palazza. One of the previous owners reported that the first week living in the home, while they were hosting a dinner party, that is when their hauntings began. During the party, a random wine glass was pushed off the counter. At the time, nobody was near it. They also report hearing strange hissing sounds and the shoutings of obscenities in adjacent empty rooms. Another resident reporting hearing obscenities shouted while taking a shower. There is one report from a former resident that didn't believe in the existence of ghosts, that he had heard strange buzzing noises in the attic that he could not explain. The mansion is also known for having secret rooms that visitors seem to come across by accident. It is believed that the secret rooms were where the murders took place. Before recent renovations, it is said that blood could still be seen on the white walls of these rooms, and each room had a drain in the middle of the floor. There are also reports of spirits roaming La Palazza Mansion that were not murdered. One is of an older woman wearing oversized sunglasses, sitting on the porch smoking cigarettes. It is rumored she was the mob boss's mother. According to legends, she was well known in the crime family and kept the money counting a secret holed up in the attic. She did this to prevent the police from noticing anything suspicious. Although she seems harmless, she was known to be nasty and may have played a role in the murder room happenings. Many people believe the reason why the spirits have remained for so long after the mob left is that the drains contain the blood of the many victims. Goldfield, Nevada was established in 1902 after gold was discovered in the area. Within a few short years, it became the largest city in the state. Like other mining towns, when the ore played out, so did the town. Today, it is an almost ghost town with less than 300 residents remaining. The Goldfield Hotel opened its doors in 1908. The new hotel was built on the former site of the Nevada Hotel that burnt down in the 1905 fire. This new 4-story stone and brick building quickly became considered the most luxurious hotel between Chicago and San Francisco, appealing to society's upper crust. In 1923, the Goldfield Hotel was sold to Newton Crumley, who aspired to make a profit from the gold in the area and dug 2 mine shafts in the basement in 1925. Unfortunately for him, both holes were dry holes. During the town's heyday, the hotel entertained all manner of affluent guests. But when the gold started drying up, the town's population diminished. In the 1930s, the Goldfield Hotel became a little more than a flop house for cowboys. During World War II, it housed the Army Air Corps personnel. After the last soldiers left in 1945, the doors closed for good. Through the years, many people have bought the old hotel in hopes of restoring it. In 1982, the Goldfield Hotel was listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a contributing property to the Goldfield Historic District. For many years, there have been ghosts reported at the Goldfield Hotel, the most famous being Elizabeth. According to legends, Elizabeth was a prostitute that the second owner, George Wingfield, would often visit. She became pregnant with George's child, and he paid her to stay away and quiet to try and avoid scandal. When she could no longer hide the pregnancy, it is said that he lured her into room 109, where he chained her to the radiator. George is said to have kept her alive, giving her food and water until the birth. Some people believe she died in childbirth, but others believe that George murdered her as soon as the baby was born, then threw the newborn into the old mining shaft. Afterwards, people began reporting seeing Elizabeth throughout the hotel and hearing the sounds of a baby crying from the depths. Elizabeth is described as having long, flowing hair, wearing a white gown. She looks sad pacing the hallways, calling out for her baby. Others have reported seeing her in room 109. The room is often reported to be extremely cold, and cameras that normally work everywhere else in the hotel refuse to work in room 109. On the third floor of the Goldfield Hotel, there are reports of a woman who is said to have hung herself and a man who jumped to his death from a window. Their identities are still unknown. In the area of the former main dining room called the Gold Room, a malevolent spirit known as the Stabber is reportedly to randomly attack people with a large kitchen knife. He has not been reported to have actually harmed anyone and then disappears right after attacking them. Near the staircase in the lobby, 3 small spirits have been reported. 2 are believed to be children. All 3 are said to be pranksters and sneak up behind people, tap them on their backs, and then giggle and dance away. George Wingfield is also reported at the Goldfield Hotel. He makes his presence known by cigar smoke. People have also reported fresh cigar ashes in his first floor room. His presence is also reported by the giant lobby staircase. The Gold Hill Hotel began as the Rising House in 1861. The original stone structure was sold to H.M. Versey, who built the wooden part of the building. The Gold Hill Hotel is located just outside of Virginia City in a little town named Gold Hill. Shortly after gold was discovered here, a massive gold strike occurred in Virginia City, which resulted in many travelers going through Gold Hill. Many of those travelers decided to stay at the hotel because it was the ideal location heading to the popular city, and there were also several gold mines in that area. One of the most popular mines in Gold Hill was the Yellow Jacket. When people worked the mines in those days, they would often use candles to see. Unfortunately, many never considered the natural gases emitted into the glow spaces of the mine, and as a result, in 1873, there was a massive fire where 37 miners lost their lives. It is said that the Gold Hill Hotel is now haunted by those miners. According to legends, the spirit of miners that were killed still linger around the mines as well as the hotel. Visitors have reported seeing the apparitions of men who appear to be miners, and doors that open and close on their own, even locked doors that unlock by themselves. The spirit of a woman named Rosie is also reported at the Gold Hill Hotel. It is said that in life she used a perfume that smelled of roses. She is described as a small framed woman with red hair and dressed in 1800s era clothing. Rosie's presence is usually followed by the smell of her perfume. Another spirit is said to be William. He is described as a distinguished gentleman wearing a derby hat and accompanied by the smell of cherry pipe tobacco. There is a long history of the Gold Hill Hotel being haunted. Many people have passed through the building, with several people dying in or near it. The many decades of mining, violence, and other activities have made Gold Hill Hotel what it is today. The Silver Queen Hotel was constructed in 1876 and is one of the oldest hotels in Nevada. Located in Virginia City, it is also the longest running hotel in the state and perhaps the most haunted. Today, the hotel offers 28 restored guest rooms with brass beds and views of up to 100 miles of the surroundings. It is said that walking into the Silver Queen is like stepping back in time. Like most haunted hotels, the Silver Queen is said to be haunted by a woman who tragically died on the property. The woman here is a prostitute named Rosie who committed suicide in room 11 by slashing her wrist in the bathtub. She is now reported to wander the hotel, tapping on doors and scaring the guests. Rosie's preference is men because most of the rooms she visits are occupied by men. According to legends, room 11 and 13 are the most active. Guests have reported loud noises at night that include tapping on the walls, jiggling of doorknobs, sudden, unexplainable bangs, voices from empty rooms, and footsteps on wooden floors when the hotel is now completely carpeted. Rainbow Ridge Park outside of Reno, Nevada is a nice little suburban park that looks out over Robb Canyon. Both seem normal and peaceful, but things are not what they appear. During the 1970s, 4 bodies were discovered, but the murders were never solved. Since then, people have reported ghosts that try to coax them to feel their pain. The entire canyon site and nearby Rainbow Ridge Park has become known as one of the most haunted places in Nevada. Throughout the years since the discovery of the bodies, people have reported hearing blood-curdling screams, seeing strange lights, unexplainable pronounced cold spots, apparitions, shadow figures, feeling disoriented, and the feeling of dread. The haunting reports are throughout the canyon, but the hot spots are said to be the dead tree, the entrance to the canyon, and the playground in the park. Foxridge Park in Henderson, Nevada is surrounded with legends. It is said that a young boy was killed nearby from a drunk driver and now roams the park, playing on the swings. People have reported seeing one particular swing that moves by itself with no wind. The other swings will remain still. People that have gone in search of the ghost boy never see him, but report seeing many other shadow figures roaming the area at night. There are also reports of the feelings of being watched by something unseen. It is believed by some that the park's grounds were cursed before becoming a park.